But first, an update on Russia's war on Ukraine. It's been nearly 6 months to the day since Vladimir Putin began his attack on the region. And now an update out of Ukraine as the governor of Mykolaiv Oblast has reported that 9 have been injured in a Russian attack in that area. Russian forces have reportedly attacked a 5-story residential building earlier this morning, and the governor posted this photo that you see here to Telegram after the attack. Meanwhile, the police department in Donetsk Oblast reporting that Russian forces have shelled the cities and towns in the region 17 times in a single day. The police have said that 18 civilian structures were either destroyed or damaged, including 10 residential buildings and also a playground. And Standard & Poor's is issuing an upgrade to Ukraine's credit rating. This after the country was able to secure a 2-year reprieve on its foreign debt earlier this month, despite the fact that S&P still projects that Ukraine's economy will no doubt shrink, and it will shrink by 40% this year. The company cited strong, committed international support for the country in that decision. That is good news, of course, for Ukraine. And as we are close to the 6-month period of the Russia-Ukraine war, the anniversary is coming up in just a few days this week. Our correspondent, Sarah Williamson, was on the front lines for 4 months covering the atrocities that have taken place here. And she saw it firsthand. Here is her story.
I feel good in my life. Everything is okay, and I don't worry about that.
Well, do you think that militarily you are ready?
I think we are ready.
And then, in the early hours of the 24th of February, Russia invaded Ukraine.
But first, we're going to go to Sarah Williamson, who is live there on the ground in Kiev tonight. Sarah.
Sarah Williamson now joins us live with more on the attack.
Let's welcome back in Newsmax correspondent Sarah Williamson live.
I doubt that everybody understands that this is just 10 kilometers to the Russian tank. And Kiev now is in a very big danger.
Ukraine's capital becoming Russia's first target, but the Ukrainian army held on strong.
Over 1,000 people have crossed across this river where this broken, bombed-out bridge is just today. The situation here has become so dire. There's so many injured people coming out right now. The press are helping. There isn't enough people to help.
After Russia retreated from the Kyiv territory and left behind some of the most abhorrent and violent displays of war crimes that would put the town of Bucha on the map forever, the southern port city of Mariupol became the next city to break the hearts of the entire world, but would fail to break the Russian control. Ukrainian authorities estimate that at least 21,000 civilians have been killed in the city, but this can still not be verified due to the occupation. One man who escaped Mariupol with the most incredible story of survival, swimming through the Sea of Azov to safety, told me the city is a graveyard.
I saw a lot of funerals on backyards. I helped to bury people. I saw lots of crosses near buildings. I speak about thousands and thousands of graves.
Dmitro's story is just one of many do-or-die tales I would hear over my time. But every person in Ukraine has their own story of survival. The only time when life would become a celebration again was on Easter.
We are trying to continue with our traditions because, life is going on, and if we stop it right now because of war, it will mean that Russia has won.
Але паска саме чудова, саме смачнова. Вона дуже смачна.
But this sense of solace was only for a moment. My final days in Ukraine were spent in the Zaporizhzhia territory, with the Russians on the offensive.
Я спала, и вдруг на меня что-то падает. Вбегает сын. Мама, гляжу, все, у него перепуганные глаза, и тут тебе еще один взрыв.
Strategic infrastructure in the region regularly hit and small villages targeted.
Откуда человек?
Then back in Kyiv, the city had more life. After 114 days on the ground in Ukraine, I had seen it from all angles and had seen the shifts the country had made as the war entered different phases. And as it hits the 6-month mark since Russia began its unjustified invasion, Ukraine still holds on. Its people undeniably brave, exceptionally patriotic, with unwavering morale. Sarah Williamson for Newsmax.
Wow, thank you so much, Sarah. What great work there on the ground and seeing it all firsthand. And to continue the conversation on the latest from Ukraine, we're joined now by retired U.S. Army Brigadier General and also the author of Chasing the Lion, Anthony J. Tata. General Tata, great to get your perspectives. I can't believe it as I was watching those pictures there with Sarah there on the ground. It's so moving. And where she ended up is where I want to start with you. She was talking about Zaporizhzhia, that region now. And just in the last few hours, I've been seeing a whole bunch of comments coming also from President Zelensky, basically accusing Russia of, quote, nuclear blackmail at that plant. Zaporizhzhia, by the way, is, of course, Europe's largest nuclear power plant. It's interesting that Russia has been spending a lot of time there late. How concerned should we be?
I think very concerned, Rita. Great to be with you. The nuclear power plant there, Chernobyl gets all the attention because of the accident there many years ago. But this region here, Russia is claiming that Ukraine is going to stage a false flag event there. And so when you get into these information wars, is Ukraine going to stage a false flag, or is Russia saying that because they're going to do something and they're going to blame it on Ukraine? And so there's some chess pieces being moved around here. I don't think Russia obviously has any intention of creating a nuclear radioactive incident there, on the scale of Chernobyl. But when you have missiles and bombs and airplanes and combat going, raging all around the biggest nuclear power plant, it's ripe for accidents and things that unintended consequences happening that could be catastrophic.
Absolutely. And where do you see this war headed, General? You have such great perspective. The Ukrainian president obviously wanted it to be over, didn't want it to even start, wanted it to be over in day one. And now recently he's been saying, I hope it's over by Christmas. Where do you see this going?
Yeah, so 6 months ago, I was one of the few people that said this is not going to be a 24 to 72-hour shock and awe.
I remember that, by the way. I remember that.
And I served with Ukrainian soldiers in Kosovo when I was their commander. They're very technically competent. I've mentioned before my West Point classmate, Mark Kozlowski, who went and fought and died in 2014 after the Maidan riots. And so what you've got is a very resilient, competent people in force in Ukraine. They're counterattacking in Crimea right now. They're making some deep strikes against Russia. They've unsettled the Russian rear lines. And so what I see is this conflict continuing to rage. And it just depends on how long Ukraine can hold out with resourcing, primarily from the United States. NATO has always been anemic in this regard, and they get all their oil from Russia, and not all, but quite a bit of it. And we can't talk about this 6-month anniversary, Rita, without talking about the 1-year anniversary of Afghanistan and the incompetent withdrawal that we had there that opened the window for this to happen and all of the downstream ramifications that we're experiencing now.
Great point. And also some of the verbiage, too. I think about it in the early parts, of course, President Biden saying if there's, quote, a minor incursion, remember? And many people felt that opened the door also for Putin saying, OK, well, maybe I can get in some way in here and without any repercussions. General Anthony Tata, such an important perspective. And it's been amazing that it is going to be 6 months this week there with the Russian invasion there. Great to have you with us, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you. And